So here we're going to continue with our dowsing lesson, and the next part of the lesson is what can I do with a dowsing tool over and above getting just yeses and nos. And let me just repeat once again, I'm Malabika Shaw, and I'm just teaching some simple basics on dowsing with a pendulum. Reminding you once again that the pendulum does not give you any answers. The pendulum, the tool, merely amplifies the vibrations that your body is putting out. And our body is able to vibrate to the energy which it's tuning into. And the dowsing tool helps us to bypass the mind. The mind oftentimes does not know the answers, but the body does. And so we use a dowsing tool to find out the answers from the body, and as the body picks up the vibrations and vibrates along with it. So in the last session we talked about we can get a yes and a no very clearly, and we can train our dowsing tool to amplify the yeses and nos either in a vertical direction or in a horizontal direction. I want to now tell you another thing that you can do is when you want to know, say, a percentage, for instance, you want to know how much something is good for you, or what percentage of it is going to affect you. You may not always get a yes, no clear answer, but it may be somewhere in between. So then, in which case, what you will do is create what I would call a fan chart, something like this. So you have a little semicircle, you have 0 over here, and you may have 10 over here. And then you grade it to give you the numbers, starting from 1 going to 9, and the ones in between. And so when you do that, you may be able to get a percentage. So let's say you are looking to apply for a particular job, and you are really in a dilemma wondering whether it's going to serve you or is it not. You might ask the question, what percent is the benefit for applying for this particular job, and hold your pendulum right at the middle point on a 0 and give it a swing as we talked about earlier, and then let it settle down, and typically it will give you a indication as to where your advantage is. And in this case, because I have not completed this little semicircle, it appears to be somewhere around 60%. So that gives you an idea of how positive this is. Usually when I ask a question like that, I will also ask the question, is there a negative effect of applying to this? And I'm getting a no, which means that, well, there is really nothing wrong with applying for this job, but the advantage is not really 100%, but it's about 60%, so you're going to take a chance. It's more positive than not, so it's up to me now to decide whether the 60% benefit right there, can I go ahead and apply or not. So it gives you an indication as to where the energy is running. The other thing that I will often do is when I get an answer like, okay, it's 60%, now if you understand energy and how it works, this is the current situation. Now it doesn't mean it will be 60% all the time, because the energy will move, it can become more, it can become less, or it can become different. So I can ask a question like, can we shift the energy to bring the percentage of that benefit up to more than 50%? So I'm going to ask the question, can I bring it up? And if I get a yes, then I go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to ask this energy to move and change, and usually I'm working with my higher self to move that energy around. And when that energy is moving, my pendulum will go in a clockwise direction, and that tells me that there is a change taking place. And when that change is completed, then I will get a clear indication that that job is done. So that is the next part of using a dowsing tool. In this case, however, when we ask a question and there is more than one answer, it's not merely a yes no answer, we again have to get to a place of neutral. We are always tuning into our high self, because our answers are coming from our high self presence, which is vibrating, the energy that is vibrating through our body. And in this case, we are getting multiple answer, possibility of multiple answers than just one. And also we are able to change that energy around from what it is to what we may want it to be. And that's the next part of dowsing. So you've been listening to me, Malavika Shaw, and I work with energy, the energy that is you, based on the principle that we are all energy beings, and teaching and learning how we can use the energy for our greater well-being to create our life as we desire. The little demonstration on dowsing that you just saw is one of the tools we use for a technique called spiritual response therapy. Very powerful technique. There is much to learn, and if you are interested, do visit my website visionholistic.net and also my blog called theenergythatisyou.com. I will see you again.